Hello everyone, Sai here with another League Start video. This will actually be my League starter for the Keeper of Flames expansion league, and I will do follow-up videos during the League Start to share my progression and item choices and all that stuff. So if you would like to get on the same journey as me, then just follow me, subscribe to my channel, and we will have a blast with this League starter, I'm sure. The skill I'm using is Cold Snap of Power. As an Elementalist, the Ascendancy is still really good. I don't think I will, even if it doesn't get nerfed, I won't use the Herald stacking Bloodline shenanigans. For the spells, I don't think it's that good because level scaling with Cold Snap of Power is actually really powerful, so I would just focus on that. I will utilize the staff nodes because they got buffed, and the masteries actually are really good. The recovery on block, increased defenses, and then the maximum life per red sockets. As you can see, I'm using my 6 link in the body armor and try to get as many red sockets on the staff as possible. In League Start, maybe 6 red sockets is a little bit much, will cost a lot of chromes, but 5 red sockets will be good, and that's still 15% increased life for one node. So normally you will have like 10% increased life, so that's like 2 to 3 nodes with one node that you click. So that's really good. I am spell block capped, and I have decent block chance, 50%, another 5% here, and you could even consider anointing, where is it? Steelwood Stance for another 10%. So then you would almost block capped for attacks too, and you can also use roomies for mapping for even more block chance. So you will be almost block capped for attacks and spells, so that's really nice defensive wise, even though you don't have a shield. And this is not an 84 chest, so you can get even quite a bit more energy shield. I am using the mastery which increases your body armor defenses by 100% if you wear armor ES hybrid bases, so that's quite important to get the double effect of your chest. That's how you get to 1.7k ES, and you can easily surpass 2k ES with the 84 base. Yeah, I will now do a map demonstration so you can see what you are dealing with. Cold Snap of Power is really nice because you are crit capped very early. In fact, you need to be crit capped in order to use this skill because you need to create power charges, which we will do with the quality of the skill itself, and then power charge on crit to generate power charges, and then in combination with this node here and also the power charge on block nodes here and here, you will have sufficient power charge generation. And yeah, let's see how this goes. I have no idea these trees are. Let's just go with one. And so this is a tier 16 map. The modifiers a little bit more damage, and for the rest nothing special. Oops. And so the first monsters, if they don't die immediately, then it can get awkward, but as you can see, 5 is my maximum. It's not a big deal to keep the power charges up. And I will not do the whole map again. The strongbox again. The red altars are better, I think, because there's no cold resistances, so that's nice. I guess this is a strongbox tree. We don't have shield charge, which is of course a downside. But I think it's still okay. I will not take that shrine, I guess. That would make the build too strong. Also, the shrine nodes are getting nerfed a little bit, I heard. I don't know the specifics. Maybe it only works with the armor pieces got nerfed, that the things that generate shrine effects outside of the tree are not affected by the tree nodes. Yeah, so as you can see, I freeze everything. Let's see if I can freeze the boss. For the boss, just put frost shields and then the curse. Let's see. Yeah, as you can see, I freeze the tier 16 boss with the 5 blink. And this is of course a great way to be defensive. And yeah, that's the map showcase. I will do, at the end of the video, I will do another map showcase, because I just discovered Pledge of Hands and I want to see how big the AoE gets, especially with Awakened Spell Cascade. I really want to see how the map coverage is with this combination of skills, items and gems. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the builds in more detail. Ambush Charge is, I think, a really nice early unique. You can start using it with level 43. It has decent armor and energy shield and a little bit of elemental resistances in life. If you compare this to the divination card Emperors of Purity, this of course is a 6 link, so that's good. But the defensive rolls in order to make this competitive defensive wise with this chest is quite difficult. I even have like a double roll here on defenses and it's still like abysmal, like 1/3 of the values. The item level is only level 60, which is not really good. So I don't know if I would even go for this chest. I rather stick with the 5 link, like in this case, and go for 84 level base, which just has so much more defense values. We actually have 7000 armor without the flask, and since we are Elementalist, we will make use of this node. 40% of physical damage they deal is converted to fire, so only 60% of the physical damage is actually dealt to us. So even though it's quote-unquote only 7k armor, this is still very efficient, especially since we are also using Enduring Composure to generate endurance charges, and we have 4 endurance charges, and you can combine that with Death Rush to get Adrenaline. This would be another 10% fist reduction, and I am running on a cast when damage taken support gem Immortal Core setup, so we are actually quite durable when it comes to physical damage. Also, we are using Flesh and Stone and Arctic Armor, so we are quite tanky versus physical damage, I think. This is also SSF character, which I transferred to Hardcore to showcase a little bit more item stuff, and I did do a 2-stone run with this character, successful, since I'm still in Hardcore, of course. The Searing Exarch can get a little bit tricky because of the golems. When the balls are near the golems, they will explode, and then if you are near the golems, they will kinda like PK you because you will get the AoE damage of the balls. So when you do the Searing Exarch, I will actually do another video for Searing Exarch, I think, to showcase it. You kind of want to run away from the golems a little bit. But you have like 50k fire max hit without even upgrading your fire resistance, so it's still doable, but you need to be a little bit careful with the golems. Yeah, let's go to the path of building to see how to level this build. We will start as a witch, of course, and since we can't use Cold Snap of Power right away because we need to be crit capped and we need a way to generate power charges, this is the conditions you need to meet in order to swap to Cold Snap of Power. And Cold Snap of Power is of course a transfigured gem, so you need to either roll it in the lab yourself or buy it from others. So we need to level with another skill. My skill of choice is Creeping Frost, which you can obtain from level 12 on. After killing Hillock, you can use Freezing Pulse or Rolling Magma, it's up to you. Since Cold Snap of Power is a cold skill, I choose a cold skill to level all the way. But of course you could respec the tree and do it your way, whatever you prefer. It's actually not that big of a deal. But yeah, I use freezing pulse. The first support you want is volley, and then in the lower prison added cold damage. If you don't get the colors, you can always switch to Arcane Surge instead of added cold damage, but Arcane Surge otherwise you can create with Frostblink. In the first half of the first act, I would highly recommend going for 2 Gold Thorn with the implicit added fire damage. That is a lot of damage. You could go and create a second weapon set with a shield to use shield charge right away. That's like min-maxing for racing. Also, you want Jade Amulet to have no problems with the added cold damage and the volley support. For my Veil, you kinda want a Sapphire Ring, and boots, yeah, just go with movement speed. Although later we will use staffs during leveling, I would go with wands and or scepters. And on the offhand, later in Act 2, I would just swap to a shield for sure to use shield charge to be faster. This is around the end of Act 1. Just rush this way to the nodes. If you need attributes, you can always go here first. I actually level like this, go for these 2 nodes, and then go further up here. Then we go to the second act, rush to Elemental Overload, grab the mana reservation to be able to use all the auras that you want. I choose Arctic Armor, Clarity, and if you still have space, you don't care about a little bit less mana pool available, you can also go with Herald of Ice. I do believe I have this all here per act, what links and what auras you want. Later we will go crit, but for now Elemental Overload is just a really nice damage source. In Act 3 we will add a little bit of life and some spell damage here. And with level 33 you want to go labs, because the first lab will be the golems, and the golems are available at level 34. So if you go into the lab with like 33 and a half, you will be level 34 by the end of the lab, and you want to spec into this node by then. After this ascendancy, you will just zoom through the campaign. It's so much damage. Even with the nerf, you will still feel really good. In Act 3, I do believe we switch the auras again to Zealotry and Clarity only. And in Act 4, I don't know with the changes to the Golem effect, you might still need a little bit of Clarity support to sustain your mana, so keep the Clarity on low levels. If this is not your League starter, and you want to start using the Codesnap of Power right away, I do have a tree. This tree, you can start using the staff right away. This is a lot of crit chance, and you have a lot of crit chance here, and the golem gives you a lot of crit chance. So it is possible to swap to Codesnap of Power by level 40, and there is also a nice leveling staff, Sergal's Crank. I do have it here too, I think. Let's see. Yeah, it just gives you energy shield, spell power, a lot of attack block chance, and then +1 to all spell skill gems. So it's a nice leveling weapon, but you will not be able to use shield charge, so it makes you kind of slower. But I just included it if you want to do it. The campaign feels really nice until Act 10 with Creeping Frost, so don't worry about swapping to Codesnap of Power. I tried it out. Yeah, Creeping Frost feels amazing, so don't worry about it. In Act 5, I do tend to over level in the Innocence Chamber because it's a really great leveling zone and it makes the rest of the campaign even easier. But you don't have to, like you are strong enough if you just rush through the campaign. I did that too, so don't worry about it. Then let's continue. Yeah, after the lab, because of the ice golem, you can switch to crit. As you can see, we unspec these nodes, and from then on we are crit. Then we travel all over here. I do have the increased crit chance for monsters on full life. That's because we are not crit capped yet, especially with Creeping Frost. That's why I do this. You can always, if you have a chest that doesn't have life, you can always get this node here. And if you need dex early, you can always travel to this agility node. So if you have an item other than the amulet with dex, that's always nice. But otherwise, just skip leveling the ice golem and the arctic armor for now. It's also not a big deal. Another dex node that you can grab is this one. And yeah, the leveling is really easy, really smooth. For the early heist, if you choose to do it, I highly recommend early heist for any build because you can make like around, let's say, 50 to 100 chaos in like 1 hour and get your basic uniques that you want. In our case, the uniques that we kinda want are the staff, the Maelstrom staff, Tyrant Shiver. It gives you a ton of damage. It's actually our weapon for the 2 stones. Let's see here. Yeah, it gives you. We always freeze the monsters, so it's 20% more damage, and then 100% combined spell and cold damage, and a little bit of cast speed, and the +2 to all cold spells, which is nice. So yeah, it's just a really good staff. That's one reason why this build works so well. So with the early heist, I'm still on shield 1 setup, and then once I'm start mapping, I would swap to the staff. And what you kinda want is the mastery for the red sockets that give you life. And then you want spell block and attack block nodes here and here. And then you want the AoE nodes next. This wheel, although it gives you a ton of damage, I would go last because this is quality of life. This makes you tankier. This also makes you tankier. So you already have enough damage. So just go with this cluster last. And once you have this cluster and these 3 nodes, you can actually spec out of, let's see if I have it here. Yeah, you can spec out of the increased critical strike chance support gem and go for Bone Chill or Inspiration if you need the less mana costs, but Bone Chill is more damage. And you will also do higher chills on the enemies, so that's also more defensive then. So I would switch increased critical strikes for Bone Chill whenever you are spec'd into these nodes and these nodes. You will not be on 100% crit chance, I think. Will be in the 90s. But then you also use, for bossing, you will use the, where is it? Frost Shield. I turn it off to not mess with the defensive numbers. What else is there to say? So there's one thing that you need to think about is shock. Because normally with the shield you always can go Tempest Shield and you are shock immune, but with the staff you can't be shock immune. I tried out the cannot be shocked while at maximum power charges, but because you spend power charges with the cold snap of power, this doesn't have a 100% uptime. So the way I actually handle shock is with the small Pantheon. Garukan gives you 60% reduced effect of shock, and then on the helmet there, you can get reduced effect of shock as an Eldritch implicit. So that way you are kinda immune to shocks. It's not the best, and one of the earlier upgrades I will make is going Storm Shroud, where you will be ailment immune. Storm Shroud and then Replica Dragonfang's Flight. Those two items will be the first two big items I will put my currency in. Replica Dragonfang is just a lot of damage and gives you some leeway with attributes and also with mana reservation efficiency, so that's really good. And the Storm Shroud, because then you're ailment immune and that frees up your helmet slots. You have a little bit more more freedom with the helmet. For example, you could go Crown of the Inward Eye. I think that's all I want to say about the PoB. Read through the notes. There's a ton of information here. How to progress during each act. You have the skill sets for all the acts and the later part of the campaign and the early heists. And then also for the items, I have some settings. So just take a look, get familiar with it. And yeah, let's go back into the game and I will talk a little bit about staff upgrades and other upgrades you can think about later. For staffs, so you could start with the Sigild's Crank, which should be like 1C. This staff is a little bit rarer, so I don't know it will be on the market, especially on HC Trade. And softcore it shouldn't be a problem at all. You guys are so spoiled always with all the items. I don't think anybody will use it, so it will also be like 1C probably. And then you kind of have the option of the Cane of Kulamek, which you could also target farm yourself with Betrayal. That's probably what I will do. I might go Betrayal and Beyond, because the Beyond nodes will also be on the right side of the tree. But I'm not quite sure about this. I might also just go Legion or Beasts or Blight. This build can do literally everything, I think, because you freeze everything, so it's quite safe, and the single target is really good, I would say. So that would be one option, the Cane of Kulamak. And today I actually just went through my unique tab and I saw Pledge of Hands. And I think Pledge of Hands, we will test it in a few seconds, might also be really good. Another staff, but you need to build around it, be the Annihilating Light. Oh, sorry for the pronunciation. This would be the most damage by far, but you need a lot of resistance for that. Probably like Purity of Elements and maybe a Mage Blood with the Flask, or I don't know. I tried it a little bit, and I think you need really good gear to make this staff work, but it's the most damage by far. Also later, you probably will spec out of this in order to use this helmet to double the golems. Then you can make use of the Golem of Safeguarding, which is incredible against slams from bossing. So you will have no problem with Shaper, Elder slams, you will have no problem with Katarina slams. It will just tickle you. It's really, really strong. So I would probably aim for this helmet. You could also go with Utila Hunger setup, but you can also do that with that helmet. But Heat Shiver should also be quite good, but then you need to think about how to reduce the fire resistances and cold resistances. Early on, there's a replica version of the Covenant that gives you added cold damage, level 29. Oh, this is an old Covenant. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, it will be level 29 added cold damage, which is good, of course, but actually a +2 Utilize Hunger would be more damage than a Covenant. Also, the Crown of the Inward Eye would be a really good choice. Then you can stay the hybrid armor energy shield a little bit longer, and you would want a +1 power charge corruption on it, ideally. You can also go Militant Faith. The position I would use is this one, but you need to be careful that it doesn't switch all these notables, so you might want to check for that. And you would spec into the 1 second, I forgot the name of the notable. Keystone. Inner Conviction to get more damage per power charge, since you don't easily get frenzy charges. But as you can see here, you will lose a ton of strength, so you need to cover for that. This is the SSF version of the builds. In the latest version and the PoE, I actually go this way to get more strength. So maybe this is enough. I don't know. You could also go for more strength on the belt and on the amulet. You need 1 dex node to not need to spec into agility. Awakened gems will be awakened added cold, which will be quite cheap. And if you have enough AoE scaling, I don't know, sorry for that, I don't know the cut points for that. You can get overlap, and awakened spell cascade will be huge damage wise and also AoE wise. We will check that out in a second. Burden of Truth is actually a really nice belt, especially if you don't use Utilize Hunger, because you can't use Burden of Truth with Utilize Hunger. But it gives you a ton of energy shield, and you can split the damage to life and energy shield at the same time, which is really nice. Death Rush is also a really nice early unique. As I said, Storm Shroud is one of my first purchases. The Light of Meaning increased cold damage is also really good. And then the replica Dragon's Fang with Cold Snap. There is another 6-link divination card for the staffs, but it only gives you level 55, which is not the best. I think you will lose on the +3 cold skill gems and some other nice rolls. And it's actually not that easy to craft a better staff than this staff. So I wouldn't collect this divination cards, but that's also an option. I already talked about the Holy Chainmail, which I also don't recommend. Then there's a really good divination card for us, a Chilling Wind, where you can get a level 21 Val Cold Snap, and you can farm lab yourself a little bit, and if you get the option to transfigure a non-transfigured gem into a transfigured version, there's only Cold Snap of Power, so it's a 100% chance. And even the gem is corrupted, you can still do that. I didn't know that before actually, but that's huge because, I mean, it's a level 21 and 20 quality gem, but it's also Val Cold Snap, and that will make you able to generate frenzy charges. So before I knew about this divination card, I would always go with the Militant Faith jewel, but for mapping, I think you actually don't need the Militant Faith, because you can go for the frenzy charges and mappings. The way it works is you click the Val Cold Snap and you have this big AoE. And if stuff dies in this AoE of the Val Cold Snap, then you get frenzies. And it should be maybe not 100% uptime, but good enough, I guess. You could always think about speccing into the 100% increased charge duration to make it 100% uptime. That were the divination cards. On the rings, you can go for crit multi and or cast speed. Those are really good offensive mods. And on the amulet for levels and crit multi. But you kind of want to focus on getting this amulet too, so don't spend too much currency on the amulet. Yeah, one thing, this is also a really nice early unique. Gives you a lot of critical strike chance. You will always crit, so you always trigger the Consecrated Ground. This skill, the level 10 Consecrated Ground skill, has an internal cooldown, I think. So it won't, you will not always stand on Consecrated Ground, but you get the rarity bonus on critical strikes, so you will always have that. And the 50% increased damage, you will have a lot of uptime, and I would combine this ring with the Sulfur Flask to have even more uptime on the 50% increased damage. Also, the 5% chance to block is also quite nice. The taming is also really good because we will, even without Scorch, and I would recommend to implement Scorch via the Maven boots if you go Utila's Hunger. You will inflict 4 different ailments: Shock, Chill, Freeze, and Ignite. So that will be up to almost 50. With Catalyst you can go up to 48% per increased damage per element, so that will be almost 200% increased damage on a ring. Really, really good. And it gives you a ton of elemental resistances. So this is a really great combination. You could go 2 tamings or, yeah, 2 tamings and Utila's Hunger. I wanted to say Death Rush, but Death Rush sadly has a life mod, so it can't go with Utila's Hunger. But yeah, that's definitely a really good combination. And with Utila's Hunger, you can go Glorious Vanity to get 15%, I think, 15 or 20% of life as extra energy shield. And with this setup, you can get to around, if you min-max it, almost 9k combined life, which is really powerful. Yeah, but going back to the gifts from above, I kind of want to focus a little bit on rarity. So I will use a gold flask and Bisco's Leech and the gifts from above, and then if I can, on the rare items also get some rarity. There's the Betrayal mod where you get 60% increased rarity when killing rares. And that way I will create more gold, which then I can use in King's March. I can trade better, I can respec stuff more easily, and also maybe I will get lucky and get like a decent drop like Utila's Hunger will be, I think, quite expensive, or even like really, really lucky and you drop like a Storm Shroud. Yeah, the more rarity you have, the more uniques you will drop in the maps. So that's my plan. I will not go overboard with it, but just a little bit. And maybe if I have enough damage, I might even use the rarity support. Yeah, I will just play around with that. But now get to the fun part and try out Pledge of Hands. So I will start the map without the Awakened Spell Cascade, and then I will put it in to first see the work of the Greater Spell Echo, how good it is, and then in combination with the Awakened Spell Cascade. So the Greater Spell Echo will repeat the skill 2 times, I think, and then you combine that with the Spell Echo for another time, and per repeat you get 30% more damage and AoE, something like that. So yeah, we will see. And now I will... Also quite nice, just as a side note, you are reflect damage immune with a Bastion of Elements. Later, after the 2 stones, I probably will switch to the Shape of Winter, because Bone Chill... Bone Chill will be in your main link, and then it will give you 40% increased damage instead of 30, and you get the 20% less damage taken. So later I will swap this out for this, but or even like a bloodline, you could go for a bloodline. That's also fine. But yeah, I want to try this out now. Sorry for the long wait. Um, let's see. Oh yeah. I do think you want probably a lot of cast speed with this. Yeah, you are standing still quite a bit. Yeah, but as you can see, the AoE is quite good. Yeah. So this is like half a screen, I would say. And now let's see. Yeah, this is the whole screen, I would say. Yeah, you can see the 5. You probably don't want to target the enemy in the center, but a little bit off the side. But as you can see, you do want more cast speed for this, but this is just a proof of concept. I do think this is quite nice. If you want to go legions, I think this... Maybe let's see if I can grab a speed shrine. Demonstrate a little bit better. This is a lot of AoE, not gonna lie. This is kind of fun. Let's see the kill speed. That is better. You don't have to aim at all anymore, and everything just dies. This is nice. In the final version, let's see. Okay, the single tire is actually not that good. Maybe you need more AoE. I don't know. That's something I need to figure out. But I think you can get like 4 overlaps, and yeah, that would be good. But for Legion, I think this would be a crazy setup. As you can see, the AoE is really big. Alright guys, that's it for the video. I will put out follow-up videos like day 1 progression, day 2 and so on. So if you want to follow this build, make sure to subscribe and like, and click the bell or whatever, so you are sure to see the follow-up videos. And I hope you will have a blast, even if you don't choose this League Starter. I think I will have a blast. And I also will try, as I said earlier, to do a Syrian Exarch showcase, so you can see how it will feel like. And yeah, have a good League start, guys. Take care.